Good morning, everybody. Hey, it's Monday morning, about, I don't know, 7 a.m., 7:15, something like that. I'm at the Maverick North Little Rock yard. Just got all my stuff, you know, my clothes, my food, stuff I need for the week, moved over from my personal vehicle into the big truck. And you know, since I have an empty trailer, no load, and I've been off for my weekend break, I had to send in a form that's called ready to roll. Lets them know that I'm here, I'm in the truck, and I'm ready for a load. It'll probably take a little while because it's still early, but anyway, I'm just here waiting to get my instructions for where to go. I'm kind of thinking I'll go to Malvern. That's usually what happens from here, but you never know. Could be Fort Smith. So we'll see. But I am, you know, just kind of going around checking out the trailer and the truck, make sure I don't have any flat tires. You know, I've got to do my inspection, which I'll do here in a minute. Put in some windshield washer fluid, check the oil, all that stuff. But I am happy to say it looks like the truck wash guys over the weekend washed my truck and the trailer. Both needed it very much, so I'm very grateful for that. I always like it when they wash my truck while I'm parked here, so I don't have to spend 30 minutes getting in line and going through the wash. So thank you, fellas, if you see this. So anyway, you know, it's early, it's been raining most of the night, but here's a view of the Maverick yard at this point. You can see a lot of the vehicles that were parked here have already left. You know, most guys that have a load leave out pretty early on Monday or even Sunday, so it gets cleared out. When I come in here on Saturdays, especially Saturday afternoon, there's not many places to park. So kind of cleared out a lot. But there's the training bay right there. They'll be getting busy soon. And the main office over there. I park right there at the end of the lot, just so I'm kind of out of the way. And anyway, that's it for now. I'll update you after I get my load assignment. Okay guys, I'm in Pine Bluff, Arkansas. I just got loaded and I've secured my load. I just have to tarp it, but I wanted to show you this real quick. This is some palletized steel couplings. I'm not sure what they're used for, but anytime we're doing palletized freight, you know, I got skid mats in the front and the back. We've got a trip chain in the front. The front row has 2 straps. All the other rows have 1 strap, and then the rear has 2 straps, and again a trip chain. So that's it, and this goes to Fairfield, Alabama. I've been there maybe 3 times. Pretty easy to get to. I love getting loaded at this place. It's called Wheeling Machine Products. It's a division of US Steel, but you know, whenever I've picked up here, I'm always the only truck. You back right in here, and within about 5 minutes, the guy comes out and loads you super quick. And the only thing is, it's a kind of a weird turn in. You know, you have to go down this street and kind of hug this curb, and then back in real sharp into that spot where the yellow markers are. And you can see over here, it's kind of hard to make the turn as you're backing up, and a lot of people don't and go into the mud. I didn't, of course, but I think the first time I was here I did. I've gotten better. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to tarp this load and hit the road. Good morning, folks. All right, let me give you a quick update. I made my delivery in Fairfield, Alabama this morning. Got really wet. It had rained a lot last night, and it continued raining this morning. So yeah, got pretty wet. Just changed my socks and boots into some dry socks and dry boots. And they sent me about 20 minutes away into the heart of Birmingham to a place called CMC Steel to get loaded. And boy, this is a confusing place. Everybody that comes in here to get a load has trouble finding out how to check in. You know, I saw several drivers driving around, walking around, including me, trying to figure out where to check in. And when I did my appointment, they had my appointment for yesterday, so I had to call the Maverick people and have them change my appointment to today. And so I'm waiting here in line now. Hopefully get in sometime soon. Sounds like the weather's going to be pretty tricky. Got storms coming in, hailstorms, possible tornadoes, all sorts of things. So it should be a fun drive back. This load, when I get it, delivers in Catoosa, Oklahoma, to a place I went to last week. So similar trip there. Anyway, just waiting to get loaded. I'll update you more in a bit. Okay guys, quick update. Well, I'm still at CMC Steel. I've been here for over 3.5 hours so far, and I'm still in line to be loaded. There's at least one truck in front of me. So, and the way this place does it, I may not be able to get a shot of it once I get in the loading area, but they usually back 6 trucks. You know, put 3 in and then 3 more in front of those 3. So 6 trucks at a time, and then load. And then you have to kind of pull out and drive back around the whole place into the area where you secure and tarp. So gonna be here most of the day probably. Unfortunately, I've been here 2 or 3 times before, and it's always slow. And it's a nasty old place too. Look at all this junk. And they got this pond here. I call it a pond. It's some sort of excess water that comes out of the plant. Probably some gargoyles or monsters in there somewhere. Oh, anyway, what do you do? What do you do? So I'm into detention at this point. You know, I don't think I've talked about that much yet, but detention, you know, once you arrive at the customer, the first 2 hours are on you. There's no detention pay for the first 2 hours, but anything after that counts as detention pay, and I think it's at $17 an hour. $15 or $17 an hour. But you don't want detention pay. I mean, you want to be on the move. So I don't like waiting around. But if you come here, you might as well count on it. You just want to get out of here before you get stuck here at night, because the place where you can spend the night, it's like 10 feet from a railroad track that runs all night long. I've done that before, and you won't get much sleep. All right, later. All right, folks. Paperboy back at you here. Just stopped and did a load check. Oh man, that was a tough load. Had a hard time getting out of there. If you'll remember, I was waiting at CMC Steel in Birmingham, and I'll tell you what happened there. I got there, it was pretty early in the morning when I got there, you know, probably 9 o'clock or something like that, maybe even a little earlier. So I was maybe 1 or 2 trucks in line, you know. Got there early, everything was looking good. But there was a lot of confusion there because there was other trucks coming in, and it's not real clear about that the check-in process there. So anyway, once I did find the kiosk, you know, they don't have a real person there you deal with. There's just a little, sorry, there's that warning. There's not a person, an office you go to check in. There's just a tiny little kiosk booth with a little self-service computer screen. You know, you have to check in. And when I first did that, it said that my pickup date for my appointment was yesterday, to contact my dispatcher. So I went back to the truck, called the office, told the fleet manager, and my appointment was wrong. And so it took them, you know, 15 or 20 minutes to recommunicate. And I think all they have to do is call and say, hey, we'd like to move that load to today, you know, so it'll be in their system. So anyway, they did that. Fleet manager calls back, says you should be okay. So I go back to the kiosk, enter in my information, and it says I have an 8 o'clock appointment today. The day is correct, but I don't know where that time came from, because at this point, you know, it's probably 9:30. And but anyway, it let me go through the process, and you know, I punched in everything and thought I was good. I go back to my truck, I wait, you know, probably an hour, and I see during that time 5 or 6 other trucks had come in and were behind me or parked to the side. You know, it's kind of a 3-lane waiting area. And so they started getting called in. You know, there must have been 5 or 6 trucks that went in to get in the scale-in line before me. So I'm like, man, something's wrong here. So I called the fleet manager and said, hey, I think something's messed up here. Would you check on your end? And after I hung up from talking to him, I went back to the kiosk and I just re-entered everything again. And evidently that worked. I didn't do anything different, but after I entered all the information, it sent me a text message, welcome to CMC Steel, which it didn't do the first time. So I guess, I don't know, it just, the first attempt just didn't process. Anyway, so I lost a good hour or so there just because I didn't get set up in the, you know, they didn't show me as being there, because for some reason my entries did not process. So anyway, I got in, you know, now this place is really busy too, real busy, real slow. Like I said earlier, they backed six trucks into their warehouse at once to load, and it was raining. Oh man, it rained a lot, pretty much the whole time I was there. It was raining, so that slows things down too. And I did not get a picture of the load, but basically I have 2 sections of 20-foot steel, what they call angles or flats. You know, it's kind of an assortment of sizes and shapes. So what happens is they load that on there, and then they cover it with a big sheet of plastic, and then you have to go around to another building and get into the securement tarping area. Normally you could do that outside. Today, since it was pouring down rain, we had to go into the securement tarping building. So anyway, finally got out of there. You know, I was probably there for, oh gosh, 6 hours. Yeah, so anyway, got out of there, got out of Birmingham, and so the fleet manager, oh, before I get into that, I want to say too, I had another Maverick driver tarping there beside me. Said he lived only about 10 or 15 miles from here, so he picks up at CMC a lot, and seemed like a nice guy. I wish I'd had more time so I could have talked to him on camera, but just didn't, you know, just didn't. And then there was an older gentleman on the other side of me. And so I started talking to him. I said, hey man, how long you been trucking? Because he looked old. Like I said, you know, I'm old, but this guy was old. And he says, oh, I've been doing flatbed for about 15 years. He said, but I started trucking in '64. Wow. May I ask how old you are? He said 79. 79, guys. And he's still out here flatbed. I said, well, man, I'm glad to hear that, because now I know I've got several years to go. But he says, you know, I think it's good to get out here and do some work. You know, I think that's been good for me over the years. You know, get out, at least we get some exercise, you know, and not just sitting around. And I said, you know, I totally agree with you. I don't think I would like doing this if I had to sit. Did nothing but sit, like some of these trucking operations do. You know, most of the trucking, you know, is drop and hook or refrigerated stuff. They don't do a lot of work with getting those loads delivered. You know, they drive, they get there. But anyway, nice fella. 79 years old. He surprised me. I didn't think he was going to say he was that old, but wow, 79, still out here doing flatbed. Pretty amazing. So anyway, all right, so I get a little ways down the road and the fleet manager calls, and he already told me he was going to try to find me a swap, because the problem with this load here, you know, it delivers on a Wednesday afternoon in Catoosa, Oklahoma. And from Catoosa, Oklahoma, just like last week, this is an exact replica almost of last week. You know, I had a 1 p.m. appointment last Wednesday in Catoosa. Got the same thing this week, just from a different place. So from Catoosa, probably a 90% chance, you know, that I'll get deadheaded to Fort Smith and then get booked a load out of Fort Smith going somewhere. And he's concerned that, you know, I'll get a long load, really probably won't be able to leave Fort Smith until Thursday morning, you know, going to you know, Michigan, or heck, the closest haul out of there is probably Kentucky, but most of it goes to Detroit, Jackson, Michigan, you know, long trips, which is good, but not on a, he was just afraid he wouldn't be able to get me home again, or not get home till later on Saturday, so he was trying not to do that, which I appreciate. But anyway, he got this other driver, Richard, who I actually did a swap with a few weeks ago, great guy, and we were, the fleet manager was hoping we could meet up in West Memphis. So I called Richard, we talked it over, and I wouldn't be able to get to West Memphis until probably 7:45 p.m., maybe 8 o'clock. And, you know, not the best time, but, you know, we'd probably both have to reserve a parking spot. It'd be full up over there way before then. And swap trailers, you know, in the dark. And really, I think he was hoping, he was planning to, sorry about that, I got over on the right side white line a little bit there, but he was planning to drive tonight to the North Little Rock Maverick yard, where you can stay for free, you know, free showers and all that stuff, and that's really what I was wanting to do too, but I spent so much time getting loaded back there that I don't have enough time now to drive all the way to North Little Rock. So West Memphis is going to be about as far as I can go tonight with my remaining drive time. But, so anyway, I told Richard, I said, man, you know what, let's just scratch this plan, and I'll keep this load. You go ahead and do what you were going to do. I appreciate the offer, the swap, but you know, I thought about it, and I said, I think I'll just stay on this load, and if I have to, I'll just stay out this weekend. And because you know, next week I've already got a special request to get home by Thursday night. So, because we're going to go take a little trout fishing trip up into North Arkansas the following weekend. So I'm thinking I may just stay out this weekend and see about moving my special request up one more day, so that I'll just get home on Wednesday and just have a nice break after that. So that's kind of what I'm thinking now. I'll talk to the fleet manager about that tomorrow. See how it goes. That's enough rambling on for now, but I wanted to kind of tell you about those things, and just trying to give you an idea how things work sometimes. Plus we have severe storms. I mean, it's been raining already. Last night here in Alabama, all day today pretty much, and then tomorrow they're talking about severe storms coming through. Hail, tornadoes, so tomorrow might be very interesting. We'll see. All right, that's it for now.